Que paso, amigos, and welcome to the horror show. I'm Jaime and Fuego.
I'm Cecil Laird.
And today we are doing our review of The Possession of Michael King.
Ladybug, what are you doing? Why are you up?
I had a scary dream.
Uh-oh. What was it about?
A monster.
A monster? A tickle monster. So, last night, I posted an ad. Documentary filmmaker seeks proof of the supernatural. I can't sleep. And that static sound. I wish I could describe for you. It's like... I don't feel like myself at all. I don't know what to do.
We need to get you some serious help, all right?
Ladybug, what are you doing? What is it? You all right?
The monster.
From your dream.
It's you, Daddy.
So Jaime, what was this one about?
So we've seen a lot of possession movies that have come out recently. It seems to be kind of all the rage in Hollywood. This one does a more interesting slant on it because the guy is actually trying to bring the possession upon himself. He's a documentary filmmaker. He has recently lost his wife, unfortunately, and that has compelled him to disprove her belief in spirituality, because that was something that was very prevalent within her own life. And so he sets out to look for necromancers, mediums, just anyone who has some sort of tie-in to the spiritual world.
People in the occult.
Exactly.
Right,
more so the darker slant of it.
Because he's so betrayed by the loss of his wife, he's basically flouting anything spiritual, saying, you guys don't exist, prove it. You know, like, oh, demons out there? Come on, take me. Being very brazen about trying to disprove the spiritual world. And in doing so, in his attempt to disprove the spiritual world, in actuality, he's searching for proof of it.
Exactly. It's kind of a coping mechanism to his loss.
Exactly. So go ahead.
He consults, a priest at one point?
An ailing priest.
An ailing priest, yeah, who's kind of, on his last legs and had some insight to give. But then he takes just a progressively darker road. He consults a mortician, somebody who actually works on dead bodies and also doubles by night as a necromancer, which is pretty interesting.
Yep.
He also consults some pseudo-sex-crazed demon worshippers.
So yeah, as you can imagine, he goes searching for stuff and he finds it, or something finds him, we should say, and he starts to slowly unravel, I guess would be a good way to put it. And he's still watching over his daughter.
Still making his movie, too.
Still making his movie, too. Yeah, since he's trying to make a documentary about the whole thing, it's a found footage movie. We should have said that at the beginning. But it's all the footage that he's shot trying to disprove the existence of the spiritual. He starts to hear things, like hear voices, and then he'll see things here and there, and he attempts to sort of put the brakes on the situation, and that doesn't necessarily...
His friends, friends and family,
True.
Saying you need to seek some help. His sister, his daughter, who is, the surviving daughter with the lost wife and everything, and so they can see just the change in his character.
Let's jump into the cinematography of the movie. I actually really appreciated, it is a found footage movie, as I mentioned, but they did it in such a way where there were a lot of angles that still came off very professionally done. They know what to put the camera on when it's creepy. There's good things for scares. I dug the cinematography.
Especially for a first-time director. David Young had done like scripts before and stuff like that, but he'd never actually directed a feature. This was his first foray, and for someone's inaugural attempt, it was pretty impressive visually, I gotta say.
Speaking of the visual aspect of it, what did you think of the effects?
The effects, especially, there's a couple scenes where some drugs are involved, most notably LSD and then later on DMT, which they kind of tie in with the fact that that is released as your body is dying, essentially, right. Which is supposed to help you cross over to the other side. That scene is very well shot.
The effects of, how they altered the way he moved, and
very reminiscent of kind of like an updated Exorcist approach.
Exactly. The janky sort of skippy movements, they do that. Now, what about the acting? What do you think of the acting in it?
Despite being unknowns, I must say, it was solid as well. You don't really get a feel for too many characters besides the lead. It's really all centered upon his descent into madness, and very reminiscent of, I guess, kind of like the Jack Nicholson, Jack Torrance character at times.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Shining.
That makes sense. But even Kubrick, focused a little bit more on the mom and the kid than this one focuses on the sister and the kid. But I was most interested in Michael's story anyway.
He's in pretty much every shot in the film, and he carries it well.
He carries it very well. He was very effective, and he did an extremely good job of acting like he was changing. When he was like hearing stuff, and
Just the cracking of his face.
Exactly.
And
just very effective, and a lot of that I'm sure is sound design too, so the sound design clearly was good in this movie as well. So yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised by the movie. Check it out, you guys, if you get a chance. Any final thoughts on it?
For something that's kind of a cliched approach, you know, as far as like, you know, possession.
The possession of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They took some very interesting slants on the approach, especially with the fact that the director did a lot of research from what I was reading after watching the film. Like, he translated old incantations and stuff like that, and I guess the only stuff that he really made up is the name of the demon that ended up possessing him, but everything else was legit research, and it made a much better film.
And I will say that it was legitimately scary at a couple of parts. Like, I jumped at more than a few times. I always love when a movie can do that after all these years. Thanks for watching, you guys. That was the review of The Possession of Michael King. Be sure to check out the spoiler review as well. Check out our podcast or email us. The links to those are down below.
Also have Facebook where you can find us, and Twitter, Horror Show 666. Follow us, porfa.
Please do. And remember, guys, stay scared.